Are you team Jipyong or team Dosan? Welcome back to another video. It is startup time, episode 11 and 12.
You are my future all the time.
All cards seem to be pointing towards Dosan winning Dalmi's love because they spend time together, and you know it's going to happen. I think maybe not. I don't know.
That scene with Miss Jung, who when Dalmi was saying she was confused at who had her heart, and Miss Jung was like, "Why don't you observe them and maybe you'll have your aha moment." And we got a couple of scenes where, you know, they were sharing that moment where they were watching each other sleep, and it was kind of sweet. Those were the moments where I was like, yeah, Dosan's gonna get it.
Yeah, but when does she have time to observe Jipyong? I mean, it's kind of like, how is that even fair?
I mean, what would be entertaining about observing that guy, though?
But it's the only way that she can find out truly who is in her heart. Anyways, after a dramatic turn of events in demo day, Samsan Tech wins.
Yes.
With this crazy on-stage performance, with the accuracy, like putting it up against NJ's.
Yeah, the image recognition running on such a low spec platform. Alex was testing that theory out because, you know, it has to run on mobile phones, but more importantly across a wide spectrum of mobile phones.
That obviously leads into Dosan not wanting Plan B, not wanting to have anything to do with Jipyong. And here comes Alex with his, acquisition that kind of leads into disaster.
Yes. So, I mean, from the very beginning, I thought Alex was kind of like this
angel investor, like
or this fairy godmother figure where he would swoop in and kind of be the solution outside of Jipyong's Plan B.
And then obviously, the contracts being signed, emotions are running high. Yongsan is like preventing Jipyong from coming in there to impede the process, and here we are, Samsan Tech is now disbanded, and like, whoa, that kind of leads into
Yes, they had quite the fist fight.
The
fisticuffs were real.
I felt it. There was some punches thrown in there.
Yes, absolutely. In the midst of all of that, Yongsan had this kind of breakthrough. Obviously, he was the reason.
Was it a breakthrough?
It kind of was. I mean, he was the one that was rejecting Jipyong, and he didn't tell them about his warnings. Or I don't even think he had time, but he had to come to terms with his feelings about Jipyong. He told everybody about his brother, and he broke down. And I think that scene where he is with Dosan on the rooftop, and Dosan mistakes him for being a little bit too hasty. We see that he kind of came to terms with Mr. Han. And his effect on his brother, and he's not. It doesn't seem like he is. It doesn't seem like his revenge is what we thought it was going to be. Like, I mean, when I saw that on the Wall of Dreams, I was like, oh, is he going to like take a life? Is he going to, be that kind of like eye for an eye kind of person? But it seems like he's just kind of emotionally distraught from it, and had to come to terms with it.
Yeah, I think he's just carrying this burden for his entire life ever since his brother's death. And he had one person to blame, and it was Jipyong. And I don't know if he still blames him. I think there's a grudge there, obviously. But like, yes, I do see the light like at the end of the tunnel for Yongsan. Like he's starting to accept the fact that this is a cutthroat industry, right? And feelings are gonna get hurt. And if you decide on emotions, this is what happens.
And there was an important revelation about his revenge too. Like I said, it wasn't no eye for an eye situation. Mr. Han said, of all of the people I haven't invested in, 0 have succeeded. And so Yongsan wanted to break that record. He wanted to not be invested in by Mr. Han and succeed.
Yes, and that's kind of fueling their fire to succeed even more now. But I want to take it back to Dosan. Like, I just feel like, I know you're Team Dosan, but like, I mean, he asked for help right after to get into this fist fight. And it's kind of like, for me, I feel like Dosan is just like, yes, he's very naive, and this is important for his personal growth overall, right? But like his decisions and acting on emotions again to refuse Plan B and go with Alex brought this all to where it unfolded, you know? And then the nerve to ask for help. Obviously, it was very, you know, it's for honorable reasons.
Yes, but I think the fight definitely was very high strung, and again, like you said, emotions were running high, and so both parties or both sides were looking to, you know, punch something.
I'm pretty sure it was all Dosan.
But at the same time, when everything came to a head, he had to come to the realization that he was still screwed. The takeover was still happening, so he needed help, and especially given the fact that Noongil might not possibly go on, so he of course wants to make sure that goes on because that's all for Dalmi's grandmother.
And obviously that honorable, you know, reason for Noongil. It's we see an emotional breakthrough from Han Jipyong, you know, going to Grandma Choi and with her corn dog stand and you know, kind of just breaking down like, good boy, what's wrong, like, stop calling me good boy. And you know, that scene to me just like put everything wholesome in terms of Han Jipyong. You know, he's growing a heart, I feel like. Yes, he's rude, and that's just the way he is. He's very pragmatic, he's gonna tell you straight up, but I think he's starting to kind of, you know, grow a heart here.
Yeah, he's starting to realize that, of course, you could be truthful and you can be critical about giving people the information and advice they need to succeed without breaking them down and, you know, kicking the legs from underneath the table.
Yeah.
Right? You can be realistic and just tell them, hey, you should do this. But of course, given what happened with Yongsan's brother, you can be a dick in that situation, right?
Yeah. And then obviously, you know, he meets up with Dalmi having some noodles, and he even kind of has this like step back moment where he's like, "Are you sure you want to hear this? Because I don't want you to get hurt." And it was a nice little moment there. And there's gonna be, I'm like voting for Han Jipyong. He's like, "Get in there, man! Get in there! Get some of that heart."
I'm still Team Dosan at this point. Now, you said there was like 4 more episodes, up to 16 episodes.
Yes.
At this point, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have not come to the acceptance stage of this grief, where Dosan has lost it all. I think he's going to go. See, this is my theory now. We're in the theory territory.
Well, before we get to theory territory, let's take a small break, step back. Let's ask you guys, are you Team Dosan or Team Han Jipyong? And leave it in the comment section below, because this is getting good. Like, before we get to that theory, right?
Yeah.
We had this huge breakup with Dalmi and Dosan, and it was very sad. It was very sad on his birthday. Like, I think she had to do it for his benefit, you know. It's part of his personal growth, but it's still sad.
Absolutely, and it was a hard scene to watch, just because, like you said, it was on his birthday. But of course, it always comes down to watching Suzy be sad, right? She's trying to do this for his own good type of gesture, and he's asking her this question that, of course, we know the answer is no. Like, did you plan to break up with me from the beginning? And she's welling up, and the emotions are swelling, and she's like, like she couldn't even say de, like she couldn't say yes outright, and that was just really difficult. Suzy just, every time,
melts my heart.
Yeah, every time the scene requires her to be super sad,
pulls it off.
Yeah.
And you know, it brings us back to who do you love? Which version do you love? The one that wrote the letters, or the one that in the present time? And she even gave that as like the harshest, you know, reason to break up. It was like, you're not the one that wrote the letters. I mean, I felt for Dosan.
And then gave it back. And gave back the baseball. She gave back the baseball.
Oh my God. That's just terrible. Like, guys, like, if you ever experience a breakup like that, like, you feel it for Dosan here. Like, I mean, my heart was just like, but I'm still Team Han Jipyong. Okay. Now, let's get to the theory.
All right. So, as I am still Team Dosan, I think that with everyone separating, this is creating this manufactured distance that they had prior to this whole debacle happening. Dosan's gonna start writing her letters from San Francisco.
Okay.
And, you know, she's working with NJ.
Very original.
And then, listen. she's working for NJ. She's going through she's living her life, but she starts writing back and forth with Dosan from San Francisco, and then when they eventually come together after how many years, they will have become what Dosan and Dalmi were trying to emulate, but it was fake. So this time it's like an authentic pen pal kind of situation.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Where Dalmi like falls in love with Dosan, but the real Dosan, and with Dosan's actual letters.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Granted, we did not watch any of the previews because we know how that goes. You know, it could spoil just about everything. Every time we get to the end of the episode, we're just like, just turn it off.
No,
that's an interesting theory. I would counter that with, you know, all
what's
this.
Han Ji-Pyeong gonna?
I mean, all this time, it's going to be 3 years. They're both in Korea. They're both still in the startup building. And so this is, you know, his chance, right? Like, I think they're going to grow a little bit closer. There's definitely going to be like this insane love triangle after the time lapse. But I'm banking on Han Ji-Pyeong here developing like a strong relationship with Dalmi during these 3 years.
That's certainly possible too. You know,
Absolutely.
of course, I'm banking for Dosan to kind of rekindle that relationship that she's been seeking from the letters.
But what could also happen is that they grow apart, they have their own personal growth, and things change. And so, you know, we'll see what happens.
Han Ji-Pyeong starts writing letters. But in any case, that'll do it for our recap and reaction to episode 11 and 12 of Startup. Things are heating up. We actually just kind of saw an ending episode or a finale episode, but we'll see where it ends up in next week. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you are new to this channel, subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when we post new videos. But on to the next one. We'll see you next week.